We'll get started. So welcome to one of the first webinars for Globe for this year. We're hoping to do, we're planning on doing a webinar once a month, bringing towards some content which can be shared, across the country a bit easier than we can when we do in-store things as well. So that's the plan for this year. So welcome to our Bird Optical Gel Masterclass. Today this session will be taken by Ian. You won't hear much from me. But you will hear a bit from Ian, who's supports this product across the globe. So we will have some discussion around the gel itself and how it should be used. And Ian's got some fantastic examples of where this product's worked really well. I myself was aware of this product. It wasn't really until Ian came out to Australia a few weeks ago. Him and I sat down and had a look through this product, and we kind of realised that there could be some good opportunities for pest managers to use maybe something like this instead of spikes in some scenarios where it actually might work better. So I thought it'd be a good thing to share for our first webinar. So Ian will join us to discuss that. We've actually put a special on, so the marketing team have put a special on for this month. So if you are going to try the Bird Optical Gel for the first time, we've got both the standard product, which is in the metal cap, the cap, and we've also got the magnetic one as well. So some are glued on, and some are just a magnetic to go on a metal surface. And Ian will discuss that as well. When you buy two or more, we've got that 10% discount that will automatically be added to your account if you're buying online, or the branch will apply that 10% discount as well. I guess I was kind of looking for new things to discuss that we've done in the last few months, and I guess the thing that we've been working a lot on is the Globe online portal. So now the portal can support almost all the products that we sell online. When you're logged in as yourself, you'll obviously see your own pricing structure. You can order your product, and you can order online as well. I guess one of the things we've noticed with the system is we've got customers who still place a traditional order at the branch, but they use the online to go in and pay their accounts. And one of the big benefits of the new platform is there's no fees for credit card, even including the Amex cards as well. So you can get your 30 days credit, and then you can go into the portal and pay your account, and you don't have to pay any fees. So if you haven't checked it out, if you've got an account with us, please log in and have a look. But it's a really good way of being able to purchase your products outside of the traditional times that we're open as well. So we're seeing a growing trend of customers ordering from Globe directly online for the service. A couple of new things from me that are new to us this month. So we've just taken the first consignment of the Trelona monitoring kit. So you guys would be used to buying Trelona as an active on application kit with two active cartridges. And we now have the monitoring kit now, which is coming with that has it's already preloaded, same 16 carton of 16, but it comes with the timber and the monitor. So that's now available, and that's the code on the system. So we've now got that in branch for delivery for next month. And the other new product that we've launched this month as well is the Clear Out Dust. So I guess some of you guys would have been using the Sherwood Clear Out Dust. We've now got that in an insecticidal pod. So it comes in a pod, 350-gram pod. Comes in a pack of 11, and there's a couple of different adapters to go into your existing adapter gun as well. So that's the other product that we're launching for this month coming. So these are in stock now and will be available from the first of next month. So that's enough from me. I'll now pass you over to Ian, and he'll go through the presentation for the optical gel, which, as I say, was some of these uses for me seemed quite novel, and I thought it'd be a good idea to share with our wider customer base. Go through that. We've got kind of three sections of it, so Ian will stop, and if there's any questions, please put your questions in the chat. At the very end of the session, we'll open up for a kind of open discussion for Q&A, and we'll open up the mics. So if you've got any actual questions you want to ask, we can do that at the end. If you've got any questions as we go through the presentation, just please stick them in the chat. Patrick and myself will monitor the chat, and we can relay those questions to Ian as we go. So I shall hand over now to Ian, and he'll take the presentation from here. Thanks, Ian.
Thanks, Mark, and thank you all for joining us today. My name is Ian Smith. I've been selling and helping clients to install bird-free optical gel in Europe and the Middle East for the last 11 years. Today, I want to talk to you about how bird-free optical gel works, its efficacy and longevity, how to install it, and how it can solve bird problems that are difficult to solve by other means, particularly where you have nesting. During the presentation, we'll pause every 15 minutes or so to invite questions, and then we'll have a further question and answer session at the end. As you may know, bird-free optical gel is the only bird repellent gel authorized for use in the UK and the European Union on the basis of proven efficacy. There are no other bird gels on the market that come close to it. The gel is impervious to all climatic conditions, rain, snow. It will continue to work even when black with pollution. I'll explain the reasons for that in a moment. It's now clear that it will remain effective for 10 years without maintenance. It will exceed all your customers' expectations, and it won't harm the pigeons in any way. Now, first of all, I will start by explaining how it works and why exactly it is so effective. Now, we see here a common sight. Both of these photos were taken at London Underground stations. In the left-hand photo, you see pigeons who have been living inside this net for some time, judging by the level of fouling there. The right-hand photo shows spikes, metal mesh fitted under the pedestrian bridge, behind which the pigeons are comfortably nesting. Here we see these photos were taken at a hospital in Barcelona, which we treated with bird-free subsequently. As you can see, pigeons have nested on top of all the spikes. These were within skylights above the main concourse of the hospital, and at the time they had to have a cleaner from morning till night every day, because obviously you can't have droppings on the floor of a hospital. As we all know, pigeons are persistent creatures. It's not easy to get rid of them, especially where they're nesting. Traditional methods such as nests and spikes will try to create a physical barrier, but as we see, the instinct of the pigeon to return to its habitat is so strong that it will always try to overcome such barriers. Bird-free optical gel is a repellent which acts on three senses of the pigeon: sight, smell, and touch. And it's more effective than a physical barrier because its sensory action simply makes the pigeon perceive its habitat as no longer habitable. I'll just explain briefly how it works on these three senses of the bird. As I'm sure you're aware, birds see four colors to our three, the extra color being ultraviolet, so they see farther along the spectrum than we do, making their world more colorful. The gel emits ultraviolet light, and when they look at this, it looks kind of like a glowing fire as far as we understand it, but you'll certainly see them shying away from it. As soon as the gel is applied to any surface, they simply won't land there. The smell element is created by the peppermint oil in the gel, which is long known as an effective bird repellent. It irritates the eyes and nose of the bird, and they simply don't like to go near it. Now, the touch element is very important where nesting is occurring, because the mother bird will frequently try to return to the nest despite the repellent effect of the sight and the smell. It's an instinctive thing. It's rather like if you came home and your house was on fire and your kids were inside, you'd probably go in and try and rescue them. In any event, if they touch it once, they simply won't come back. This multi-sensory effect makes their habitat abhorrent, and it causes the pigeons to abandon their nests and their habitual roosts. And we have here an example of exactly how it does that. Now, this is a villa in Dubai, and 4 or 5 years ago, the client, the pest control company, sent me photos and asked me how they should go about this. You can see that it was evident from the photos that the pigeons were roosting at night on the roof against the wall. That's where the majority of the fouling is. So what we explained to the pest controller in Dubai was that they would need to fit the dishes of bird free every 20 centimeters to the night roost, as you can see here. This is the spacing to deter pigeons from night roosting. So these were applied at the top, and 2 rows at 20 centimeters were applied against the wall on the lower roof. And we told them to apply the dishes at 25 centimeter centers to the landing points. That's the hips, the raised hips of the roof, and the front of the roof. As you can see, it was not necessary to treat the entire roof, but to focus upon the prime habitat, which in this case was the night roost. You will see now a video taken the first evening after the installation was done. You see about 20 pigeons trying to come back to their night roost, flying around in a state of confusion. And when the camera pans back to the roof, all the pigeons have disappeared. So this illustrates how it makes their habitat abhorrent. And instead of thinking, as with a physical barrier, how can we overcome this? Their immediate thought is, oh my God, we've got to get out of here. It just makes the whole habitat so horrible for them that they will immediately leave. Now, we've seen here how the spacing for night roosting is 20 centimeter centers, and the spacing for day roosting or landing points is 25. I'm sorry. Now, I just want to show you a little bit more information about how these dishes of bird free should be installed. This is our UK installation manual. It's a 2-page manual. As you can see, the first thing you'll see is stop. The surfaces must be thoroughly cleaned and sanitized before the bird-free dishes are applied. Now, this is for 2 reasons. One is to protect the pest controller from the pathogens in the droppings, in the nesting material, and so on. And the second one is to eradicate the imprint of the pigeon, the smells, etc., by which they will identify their habitat. So it helps to create a repellent effect by removing the smells by which they identify the habitat. Now, Globe will supply a bird-free droppings sanitizer to remove all droppings and other organic material. But it is wise, once the surface has been cleaned, it's wise to give it a light spray with a bleach solution, 10 to 1 for nests and 20 to 1 for night roosts, because that will then kill all the remaining pathogens. Let's move on now to how the dishes of bird-free optical gel are spaced. We see here the three spacings for pigeons. The top one is for day roosts. As you can see, this is 25 centimeter centers, and where you're placing them on the edge of a ledge or a parapet, you should place them 2 centimeters behind the leading edge so that from below they will be invisible. They're only 8 millimeters high. If you put them right on the edge, you will see them. If you put them 2 centimeters behind the edge, they will be invisible. So examples here, going from the left, you can see this is a departure board at an airport. The second one is a parapet. The dishes were fitted there to prevent the pigeons from landing on the parapet. It's not necessary to treat the entire ledge. It really depends on what's happening there. If you see droppings all over the ledge, then you will need to address that. If the droppings are only on the front where the pigeons like to land and possibly look down at food, it's sufficient to put one row there. The right-hand photos here show an example where there are droppings all over this ledge. So what we've done there is we've fitted them to the front, 2 centimeters behind at 25 centimeters, and we've fitted extra dishes towards the rear in the sheltered corners to prevent the pigeons from sheltering in those corners away from the rain, etc. So now let's move on. Whoa, hold on a minute. I've just dropped my screen here. Let me bring that back. Can you see okay, Mark?
Yep. No, you're all good,
Okay.
Ian. Yep, we can still see you.
Okay.
No problems.
Now the second one is 20 centimeter centers, and these photos here, these show the wooden rafters of a 15th century palazzo in the center of Rome. You can see on the left-hand photo, heavily fouled, and this is where the pigeons were night roosting. This is a very popular tourist destination, and the Ministry of Heritage they wanted us to get rid of the pigeons because it was not good for the visitor receipts if they were confronted with droppings all over the floor. So what we did was we cleaned up the rafter there, and as you can see in the right-hand photo, those were fitted at 20 centimeter centers, and that prevented any further night roosting. Incidentally, that installation was done 10 years ago and remains effective today. The last one, which is probably the most important of all, are the nesting sites. As you will know, it's essential to identify all nesting sites at the treatment site and to prevent nesting. Otherwise, you can never solve the problem completely. The two left-hand photos, only 4 dishes were fitted where the nest was in this case. The G1 is showing one of the nests that we treated when we carried out the efficacy tests in 2017. This is a partition wall between stalls of a stable, and the nest was right at against the rear wall. And as you can see, we've cleaned that up. We've fitted 4 dishes there in a square at 15 centimeter centers, and that has prevented any further nesting. The two right-hand photos, this nesting site was a bit more difficult to identify. We found it on top of the surface of the duct, which then went inside the factory itself. And you can see how on the right-hand photo, we've cleaned it up and we've fitted the dishes at 15 centimeter centers to prevent any further nesting. Now, I will show you briefly here a very simple video which shows how the dishes were applied to the edge of this parapet. And you will see here the spots of silicon are fitted about 5 or 6 centimeters behind the leading edge, so that when you fit the dishes on, they are 2 centimeters behind the front of the ledge. So that will stop them landing on there, whilst at the same time remaining invisible from below. So that is the first part that I wanted to show you, how it's important to focus on the areas where the birds have adopted as their habitat, the favored habitats, if you like, and then they will abandon the site there. Now, I don't know, Mark, do we have any questions that we should address at this time? If
No.
so, would you?
Yeah, just give me a second to check. No, there's nothing in the chat, nothing in the questions. No, we can carry on, Ian, no problems.
Okay. In that case, I would like to show another example of how it's important to assess the site first. It saves everybody, including the customer, time and money, to ensure that we know exactly where just one moment, please. I seem to have got stuck on this slide. What's going on here? See if I can move on to the next one now. Here we are. Here we are. Now, this shows a building that was treated with bird-free optical gel quite recently. It was done just
Hey,
before Christmas.
you're not
Yes?
sharing, Ian.
Okay,
Just need to share
let
your
me
share
share
screen.
that. Let me share that. Are we sharing now?
Yeah, a second. No, not yet.
Okay, how about now? Okay, we're having some trouble. Where are we now? You can't see it, right?
Not yet. No.
Okay. Now I'm gonna have to go back to here. All right, we seem to have a bit of a problem here.
You want me to
I
share your presentation?
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind,
Okay.
for some reason it's now stopped
That's good.
doing it.
Give me 2 seconds.
So if you could go to, can we now see the building which says report on efficacy of bird free and preventing pigeons from returning to their roosts on a synagogue in North London?
Yep, just give me a second. I'll find that for you.
That's slide number 8. I'm going to try once more to share this, but for some reason, it's stopped doing it. Right. I would have to close this file and open it up again. So
I'm nearly there. Oh yeah, I've got it here. So let me just do. I'll share.
Right.
My screen.
No, I can't do it. I can't do it.
I'm just going to share my screen.
Okay.
Then I'll jump in here. So that should come up now.
Do you have that?
Yep, you got it up now.
Okay.
We'll come to slide.
So
yep,
now,
so that's got your sticker.
Okay. So now, this is a new building in North London, and the problem was that on the other side of the road, pigeons had been living for some time, roosting at night, nesting for some time. And once this building was erected, they all decided that they rather liked sitting on the other side of the road, as you can see here. So if we could move to the next slide now, Mark.
Certainly, yep.
So as I said, the first thing to do is to assess the nature of the problem and to figure out exactly where the dishes of bird-free optical gel need to be fitted. So in this case, I carried out the inspection from the roof. As you can see from the top photos, there is no pigeon activity on the roof. You see the crenellations on the right-hand photo at the top, and you see the roof line in the left-hand photo. And as you can see, these are all clear. It's too exposed for them here. The pigeons don't like to go on exposed places like that. The bottom photos show on the left how they like to sit on the frame of the window below the roof line, and to the right at the bottom on the broader ledge below that, you can see all the fouling on there. The next slide, if you wouldn't mind, not that one, this one here, with the 4 photos. At the front of the building, on the same elevation, you can see that broader ledge is recessed at the front, and you can see here, if you I'm expanding the photo, but obviously you can't see what I'm doing. But on the right-hand top photo, you can see that the droppings are concentrated in that corner there, where the recess is. In the left hand, yeah, in the 2 photos at the bottom, this is the other end of the same elevation. You can see again the pigeons sitting on top of the window frame. And if you look closely, you can see there's one sitting on the pipe against the wall to the right. Now, if we move on to the next one. The greenish yellow lines, I think we can see those, Mark, can we?
Yep, can see those. Yep, you see the
Yep.
yellow lines on the building. Yep.
Okay, so now these are indicating the places where the bird-free dishes were fitted. We only fitted them there because it was clear that these were the surfaces that the pigeons had already identified as comfortable and sheltered for them, and that's why we applied it only to those surfaces. The client was very keen. If we can move to the next photo, please, Mark, with the red lines. The client was very keen to get this job done before Christmas. However, he sent these photos with the red lines drawn because he believed that we needed to apply it to the crenellations at the top, the roof line, the lower windows, etc., etc. I told him that was completely unnecessary because the pigeons didn't go there, and as long as we denied them the habitats that they preferred, they would abandon the building. As you can see in the text at the bottom of this frame, we allayed the client's concerns. We even undertook to treat any other spots to which the pigeons relocated free of charge. We didn't do that lightly. We did that because we knew that wouldn't happen. If we can move now on to the next photo. Now, this was not a big job. It was done on the 16th of December. You can see here the work in progress. 390 dishes were installed on this building on the 16th of December. The cleaning and the fitting of all the dishes took 3 men, 5 hours, and that was done. That was finished. Now, if we move to the next slide, you can see the state of the building on the 7th of February. We inspected on the 7th of February. There are no pigeons there. And if you would be kind enough, Mark, to go to the next slide and play, I'll just introduce this and then we can play the video. These are the buildings on the other side of the road. If you wouldn't mind playing the video now, Mark. Are we good with that?
It's running. Yep.
Okay, so now you will see pigeons roosting on the side roof there. And as we move along, you will see them nesting on top of the dormer below the overhanging roof. You'll see several pigeons on the floor there. However, as you will see when the video scans over to the other side of the road, there are no pigeons on that building that have been treated with bird free. So I wanted here to emphasize the importance of assessing the infestation to determine what treatment is required. If we'd have gone with the what the clients have thought we ought to do, it would probably cost him twice as much, and he may not have accepted the proposal, but it wasn't necessary to do that. So you can see how it just makes the habitat uninhabitable for them, and they will then leave. Now, I'm going to try and get off this and get back to, can we see, I don't know if you can see me now, can you?
I'm still sharing my screen, Ian, so I've got your Italian shopping centre up. That's the next slide.
Okay, so now we're about to show some examples of installations that were done over the last 9-10 years in Europe. And before we do that, are there any questions that have come up so far?
I'll ask Patrick that. I'm on full screen at the moment, Patrick, so if you can let me know if there's any
Yep.
questions. I think there might be one
Yes.
question there I noticed.
Yes, we've got a question there. Does this product work on all birds, swallows, or just pigeons?
Okay, now
Good
the
question.
answer to that is that it works very well on swallows, and it's one of the few birds where you apply the dishes vertically and upside down. It's very important to do this treatment when the nests are not in use, because obviously they're protected species. And by removing the nests, cleaning the surfaces, and fitting dishes upside down under the eaves and vertically at the top of the wall, when the swallows try to come back, because they'll normally return to the same spot every year, when they try to come back, they simply won't nest there. They'll have to go and find somewhere else to nest. So it's worked very well on swallows. Next month, we are applying to the APVMA to add swallows and Indian miners. At the moment, we just have the pigeons authorization, but we will be applying for swallows nests and Indian miners as of next month. And the guy who's dealing with that for us seems to think that shouldn't be a problem. So we've done swallows nest very successfully in Italy, Montenegro, California, and anybody who would like information on that, if they'd like to send an email to Mark, which he will forward to me, then I will send you some photos of such examples in Italy, California, and Montenegro. Any other questions at the moment?
Yes, one more. How long will it be effective with the whole smell treatment element of it? Sorry, let me say that again. How long will it be effective for with the whole smell element of treatment?
Okay, so as you will see in a moment, this bird-free optical gel would remain effective for 10 years without the need for any maintenance. Any further questions on that?
We just got one more. If we install for swallows under pergola, would it have any smell in the area and customers complain about it?
Well, we have had one or two customers who did complain about the smell when it was installed inside. Yeah. However, as far as the human sense of smell is concerned, that will dissipate in about 3 weeks. And if people say to me, oh, we don't like the smell, then I will usually say to them, well, maybe you prefer the smell of shit. And in most cases, they'll agree that they don't. So it will dissipate after about 3 weeks.
That's
Any
all the
other
questions.
questions? Any other
That's all,
questions before we move on? Is that okay?
that's all the questions.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks, Pat.
Okay. So as I say, if anybody wants to email Mark, and he'll pass them on to me. Any other questions, any other information about how to use it, etc., just let me know. Now, I'm not sure if I can resume this. I think, can you see this now or not? Maybe not. No, I don't know what's happening.
Oh, yep. We got your screen up.
Oh, you've got the screen up.
Yeah, so it's got it looks like a 27 Feb webinar.
Oh, no! I can't. It's just not working for me.
That's okay.
I just
Yep,
can't get
just let
this
me.
working.
That's fine.
So
Just let me
if you
reshare.
would please bring up it's slide 16, and it shows this
The
is
shopping centre.
a video. Yes, this is a shopping center, right? Now, before we play this video, can you just stop it for a moment, Mark, please? Right, I'm just going to explain this to you now. This is the biggest shopping center in Italy. It's 700 meters end to end. It's got 200 shops. It's got 20 odd restaurants. And I was asked to go here by my Italian distributor in December 2015, which was 4 months before it was due to open. The architects were freaking out because they had bird droppings all over the beautiful glass facades, etc. And they were due to open in 4 months, and they were desperate for a solution. So if you wouldn't mind just playing the video now, Mark, we can look at that
certainly.
and see what's happening. I will, we can see this, yeah? So this is Il Centro. And these photos are from now. These are more recently. You can see inside. This is the size of it. Restaurants, all the shops, and so on. Now, this is what it was like when we went there in December 2015. You can see the pigeons had already started to inhabit the place. And this is really what the architects were most concerned about, was the droppings all over the glass facades. So in February 2016, if you just stop that for a second there, Mark, if you just go back to the previous slide, or just no, carry on. We'll see it again. There we are. If you carry on now, just let the video run. Okay. So this is now September. If you stop it there 1 second, stop it there 1 second. Now, what this shows is that they've actually made an error here. They've installed the dishes right on the edge of this wooden ledge, and you can see them, whereas if they'd installed them 2 centimeters behind, you wouldn't see them at all. Now, all these photos were taken in September 2023 when I visited the site to inspect it. If you can continue playing the video now, Mark, please. As you can see, everything was clean. I spent an hour and a half walking up and down, taking all these photos. I didn't see a single pigeon there. You can see there are Starbucks, there are cafes and whatnot. The management company subsequently told me that they haven't had one complaint from any of their 200 odd tenants in the 9 years now since that was installed. So that sort of remained effective now for 9 years. So that shows, you know, we've all been to shopping centres where various measures have been taken against pigeons, and you know it's very, very difficult to completely get rid of them. By assessing the problem and treating it accordingly, you won't have pigeons coming back there. So this is a very effective way to get rid of them. Now, before we show the next video, at the beginning of the presentation, I showed nesting on top of spikes, and this was at this hospital in Barcelona. I went there in May. I went there first in February 2018 to assess the place, and then I went back in May 2018 to assist the pest control company to do the installation. If you could play that now, Mark, please.
Yep.
So, as you will see in a moment, there were 14 skylights above the main concourse of this hospital, as you see there. The surfaces inside the skylights had been fitted with spikes previously, and this was the result. And that's why they had to have a cleaner every day from morning till night, cleaning the floor below. We removed 16 nests from these skylights. As you will see, we removed all the spikes, we cleaned everything up, and we fitted the dishes of bird-free optical gel at 15 centimeter centers. And that has now, this is the managing director of the pest control company that we did the work with, and he's just explaining what the result was. I know him well. In fact, I was speaking to him a few months ago, and there are no pigeons at that hospital now. So that was that one. If you could just stop that a moment, please, Mark. So the
Yep.
hospital one was done, that'll be 7 years in May, and that continues to remain effective. Now, so we've seen here how it will prevent pigeons from nesting, which no other products like this will do, but this will do that. Yeah. Now, it's very, very handy in industrial sites such as warehouses, where it's difficult to prevent pigeons from nesting in the voids behind roller shuttered doors, for example, because of the moving parts, and it will do that. In this case, it's ideal for historic buildings. In Europe, you have to get permission from the heritage officers to do anything on a historic building. And they particularly like bird-free optical gel. For the most part, it's invisible from below, and there are no mechanical fixings. So you don't actually have to drill into the building to fit nets or anything like that. Now, this job was done, next month it'll be 8 years. This is a 14th century gate into the cathedral in Salisbury. If you could just play this one now, Mark, that would be great. And all these photos that you see now were taken 4 years after installation. This is the other side of the gate, and you will see, if you just stop the video for a moment, Mark, and you could see there, if we can go back a little bit, we could see there below the crest, we could see a row of dishes which are just visible there. This is after 4 years, but they're virtually invisible from below, even on this ledge. If we can move the video along. On the other side of the gate, you have pigeons nesting inside the recess where the statue is. You can see the fouling on the head there. And we also, if we can play this one a bit, so the nest was removed. The rear of the statue was treated with dishes of bird-free optical gel. Now, you can see here, we also put them on the statue itself. And if you could just continue for a second, Mark, until you see the ones on the bottom of the statue. There, if you stop there a moment. Now, because you've got vehicular traffic going back and forth under the arch, it's very polluted. These dishes have become black with pollution. However, they do remain effective, and I will explain in a moment why that is. So if you could just run the video further on. So the first thing you'll see now is, in a moment, you'll see the testimonial of the clerk of works after 4 years. And as he said, the fact that it's become dark is a benefit to him because it matches the color of the building better. It makes it more discreet. The next text that you'll see is after 7 years. This is when I spoke to him last year. And every time I speak to him, he says, I can't believe it's still working. He's amazed. I will call him next month, which will be 8 years. And I have no doubt that that will remain effective. That will still be effective today. Now, I just want to show you a bit more about why it works when it's polluted. Now, this is a railway station in London. If you've ever been to London, you probably know King's Cross Station. It's one of the biggest stations in London. If we can move now to the next slide, please, Mark. Now, this photo was taken a month before the installation of bird-free optical gel. You can see in the right-hand photo, you can see pigeons sitting in front of those high-level windows, and that was causing the fouling was dropping down onto the entrance, as you can see in the left-hand photo, and some bigwig had his offices in there, and he didn't want to get not to put too fine a point on it, he didn't want to get shit on his shoes. So they did the treatment in April 2015. And if you could go to the next slide, please. I live quite near here, and whenever I go by, I used to take photos. These are from 2018 and early October 2022. If we move to the next slide, please. Now, in October 2022, I contacted the facilities manager and I said, look, I'd like to go up to the offices and take photos to see what's going on with the gel now. As you can see, it's a very busy road. It's very polluted. And again, the dishes at the front of the ledge have become black with pollution. They are still working. There are no pigeons there, and there are still no pigeons today. The dishes in the U-shaped beam in the foreground, were installed at the same time, but because they're in the U-shaped beam, they're protected from the pollution and therefore have retained the original color. If we can now move to the next frame. Now, this explains, you can see in the text here, this explains why the gel remains effective even when it's black with pollution. This is showing a gantry above a railway in Hong Kong, and the pigeons were nesting inside the gantry and causing electrical shorts. So looking down on the top of the gantry, shown in the right-hand photo, the dishes of optical gel were applied to the top of the gantry at 25 centimeter centers, and to inside they were applied at 15 centimeter centers where the nest was. As you can see in the text, the gel continues to emit the UV light even when blackened with pollution, and this is because UV radiation is only blocked by solid objects, not particulates. So bird-free optical gel will remain effective even when covered in a thick layer of dust, dirt, or even rainwater. If we move on to the last slide here. Now, this is showing the gantry after less than 2 years. Because it's above a railway, it's obviously very polluted. You can see on the left-hand photo, there is no fouling on this gantry. And you can see in the right-hand photo that the gel has remained completely stable, despite the fact that it's discolored. The form of the gel is exactly as it was when it was first fitted. This is because it's very, very viscous. It's very solid. It's injected by machine at very high pressure, and viscosity tests showed that it's 9 times more viscous than a gel that you might gun out with a handgun, because you can't apply that kind of pressure with a handgun. So I think that's probably pretty much what we've got time for today. I essentially wanted to cover how it's important to assess the site to determine where it needs to be applied, to make sure you're offering an efficient and cost-effective service to the customer, that it works for many years, and that it will solve problems that are very difficult to solve with other solutions. And I could, if we do a further webinar, then I will go further into those issues. So it remains then for me to ask you if there are any more questions, or to open the mics if you'd like to do that.
Yeah, I think we. Yeah,
Mark, so that we can.
Yeah, I think we can do that, Ian. Yeah, if anyone's got any questions, we'll all open the mics for the last 5 minutes, so I can get Patrick just to open the mics and do that. And if anybody's got any questions, just stick your hand up. We'll do that. I think I mean, obviously, Ian, we spoke about this product maybe a month ago, and I was quite impressed on where I could just see pest management being able to. I mean, a lot of there's a lot of companies that specialise in bird work in Australia, and there's a lot of guys that are probably hesitant to get into it because obviously, some of the processes of spikes and netting are very technical, and all that kind of stuff. But I just feel that this product's a fantastic option for somebody who's just trying to fix that problem for a cafe or a restaurant, where they don't want that visual of spikes. And as you say, if you install these just a bit, 20 centimeters back from the surface, you don't actually see them at all. A few of the slides that you've shared with us today, you can actually see that where you can see this, you can actually see the you can see the dishes. They are visible. They're not, they're not overly, I don't think they're not overly seen, but as you say, you can install them to a point where you don't see them, and I think that could be a real game changer to help a lot of guys in some of the major cities to fix some of those problems. So that's why I thought we'd share it today. So I think that's important. So that's cool. Any other questions in the chat there, Patrick?
Yes, we had one question. Does it work inside structures with less light?
Absolutely, it does. It needs hardly any light whatsoever. It doesn't reflect the light, it actually emits it. It contains pyranine, the same ingredient that are in highlighters. So it actually stimulates the UV and it reflects that. One of the, if people would like to see more examples of this, we have a presentation that shows quite a number of installations in Europe with videos. One of the ones that we did a little over 5 years ago now was 4 new bridges on a new section of a motorway in the UK. The pigeons had already started to nest on the bearings of these bridges, and the company that was operating these, it was a build operate contract. I think it was a 30-year contract. They wanted to make sure, because they had to inspect the bearings every few years, and they wanted to make sure that pigeons weren't nesting on these bearings. So all of the bearings of these 4 bridges were treated with bird-free optical gel. Where the pigeons had already nested on some of them, they were treated at 15 centimeter centers because the pressure was higher. And where we wanted to prevent nesting, it was sufficient to treat them at 25 centimeter centers. That would be sufficient to deter any pigeons who entered inside the galleries of the bridges thinking, oh, we might nest here. That would be sufficient to deter them. But what you will see, and I can send, I've got a very good video of this, a short video, and it shows how in certain parts of the inside the gallery we had to install the dishes by lamplight because it was very dark. We couldn't see by the daylight. There was a little bit of daylight coming in, but we had to install it by lamplight. And you will see if you send in your email addresses, I will send you out our little presentation that has all these links, and you will see the testimonial from the chief engineer who is responsible for this, and you can see that it was very, very effective. So pigeons can't fly. They don't fly in the dark. They need some light to fly. So if there's sufficient light for the pigeon, there's sufficient light for the bird-free optical gel.
The product. Yep, that's great.
I think we had one hand raised from Timothy Thomas.
Yeah. Can he unmute okay?
I've unmuted. He just needs to unmute his microphone to ask the question.
Yeah. Hey, Timothy. Can we unmute him?
I think he's on mute.
Do we know what the question is?
He's on now.
Oh, here he is.
Yep. Timothy?
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation.
My pleasure.
One question here is what should be the distance between the intervals for the gel installation?
Okay. Now, I think that probably Mark can make a recording of this available to anybody who wants it, I suspect, right?
Yep.
You will see there that we showed the installation manual, which shows that for pigeons, the spacing is 25 centimeter centers for day roosting. So if the pigeon is sitting on the edge of a ledge looking down at food or something like this, then 25 centimeter centers is fine. For night roosting, these should be fitted at 20 centimeter centers. And for nesting, they need to be fitted at 15 centimeter centers wherever the nest was removed from. So it's just the local area where the nesting is that needs to be treated at 15 centimeter centers. And the reason for that is that the high level of pressure means that, as I said earlier, the mother bird will sometimes try to come back. And if she does that, then she will touch it. And once she touches it, she won't come back again at all because they hate anything sticky on their feathers.
Yep. I just brought that slide up, Ian, so that's got that kind of the text of your installation. So you can see there for your day roost, your low pressure, high pressure, and higher pressure.
Yeah. And again, anybody who wants to have a record of this, they can find it on the website, or if they'd like to send me an email, I will reply with the links to our website for the installation manual, the safety data sheet, and many other bits of useful information that will be required when you're installing this.
Definitely do that.
Sorry, Timothy.
Definitely we will do that. The other thing is, if I want to import the product, will it be from a Mac or for the?
Yeah, Timothy, we've got it in stock. So the product's in stock around the country. So you can order it online, or you can order it with the guys in the branch. So we've got stock of both the standard unit and as well as the magnetic unit as well, because obviously there's a magnetic version of the dish that you can just stick onto metal surfaces without having to apply a glue. So makes it even easier to apply.
All right.
and
Thank you.
it can be fitted to pipes and other round objects with cable ties. You simply need to use cable tie fittings, which are available from many stockists. You can even buy them on Amazon. So if you want to know more about that, I can provide you with information on that.
That's cool.
All right. Thank you.
That's good. Thanks, Timothy. That's
We've got another question. Any presentation material we can send to our clients, and what kind of warranty shall we promise our customers?
Okay, that's a very good question.
Good
Now,
question.
if you please, email me again, right? I will send you the presentation which shows how it works with the video at the end, which is a YouTube link, showing how the pigeons all abandoned the night roost on the first evening after it was applied. So that explains how it works, and it shows the immediate effect of it. The second thing, excuse me, I will send you is our latest presentation, which shows videos of installations. I've shown 3 of them today: the big shopping center, the hospital, and the Salisbury Cathedral. So you can see bridges, you can see car parks, you can see all kinds of installations on there that you can show to your customers, and you can explain to them that all of these dating up to 10 years now, all of these remain effective today.
Yeah. So you would look at Ian for warranting that product for 10 years. I guess, would you warrant the adhesive and how it's held on, or is that something that would be separate
Okay,
from
now
that kind of original
now
warranty?
clearly the warranty will, the efficacy of this will depend upon how it's installed, right? As long as it's installed in accordance with the manufacturer's specifications, you will see that it will work for a very long time.
Yep. And would you recommend, Ian, just on the back of that question, would you recommend a yearly inspection by the pest operator to make sure the dishes are in place, everything's good? Would that be a good practice?
Well, people like Rent-A-Kill, for example, do offer that, right? So what they offer is, for example, a typical offering will be they'll say, okay, we're going to install this. We'll come back in 3 months' time to check everything, and we'll thereafter do an annual check, right? As long as it's been installed correctly, there will be nothing for them to do, but it might be an opportunity for the customer who's by this time understood that it's very effective to say, well, as it turns out, I've got another site over here where I need to solve a problem, and can you please quote me to do that? So from that point of view, it's a good idea to arrange follow-up visits, but once it's installed correctly, there is no maintenance required.
That's cool. No worries. Well, listen, so everything that Ian's talked about today, we'll send out to everyone on a link. So we'll give you access to this presentation, and also any other materials that Ian's got, we'll send that out in the next couple of days. So everyone gets everything, and that way you don't really have to worry about emailing or doing stuff. We can do all that for you. So we'll do that. Just one more question, Ian. I know we've run over time by 4 minutes, but just one more question. I see Jason Fullerton's put an email, a question there about, has there been any cases of the gel attracting any other pests? And he said, for example, rodents.
No.
Okay,
No,
that's easy.
no,
That's cool. That's
no,
cool.
they haven't.
And I guess the takeaway for me from this has been that obviously there's been products in the past like this that have been, as you say, coming out a corking gun, or you're just applying them yourself. I guess the efficacy and the kind of key with this product is that high pressure application into the cup is really what helps that longevity of the product as well. Is that what you would agree with?
Absolutely, and that's why it's completely impervious to rain or any
Yep.
other. We've got installations in Europe where it's been covered in snow in the winter.
Yep.
And after the snow's melted, it continues to be effective. It does
Yep.
nothing like that will affect it. I will say one final thing, right? Because the important thing here is to use it, see the effect. Once you've got satisfied customers of your own, and they will be amazed. Once you've got satisfied customers of your own, then it will build from there. You can get them to give you testimonials, to give you references, and so on and so forth. This is a solution that you can rely upon to be effective, and you can rely upon to be effective for a long time. So if you have sites where you want to install it, then by all means send photos. You can WhatsApp them or email them, and I will call you and I'll go through it with you just to explain exactly what needs to be done.
Yep, that's awesome. Great. Well, thank you for your time today, Ian. I know it's, what is it? Is it 1 o'clock in the morning or is it midnight? Have we gone past?
It's 1 o'clock. It's 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I thought we started at midnight. So thanks again for your time today, and obviously your time yesterday for prepping this as well. So thank you for that at all. Thanks for being our first guest on our webinar series for this year. So that's fantastic. A big thank you to Lisa and Patrick for setting this up. So this all looks like, a fairly slick operation, which has definitely got nothing to do with me. Those guys are
Nothing to
powering.
do with me.
Nothing to do with me. These guys are doing all the work in the background to make me make this look like a kind of fairly reasonable presentation. So it's good. So thanks to those guys as well. Thanks for everyone who joined today. We'll close up today, and as I say, we'll send those links out, and we'll give you some sort of indication on what the webinar will be for next month as well. So again, thank you everyone for the time, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Well, thanks everybody, and we'll say goodbye for now. I'm going to get some sleep. Bye for now.
Thanks, Ian. Cheers, man.